So thinking about starting a business, huh? I love that entrepreneurial spirit.
Hmm.
I was digging into some podcasts the other day.
Oh,
And
yeah?
yeah, and came across this idea that I think has some serious potential, especially for someone like you.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
A resume and LinkedIn profile optimization service.
Interesting. What made that one stand out to you?
Well, for starters, the podcast host was saying that demand for this type of service is just exploding right now.
Really?
Yeah, people are really starting to understand how important it is to have a strong online presence, especially for their career.
Oh, absolutely. It's true. We're seeing this real shift toward personal branding in the job market.
Right.
It's not just enough to have the right qualifications anymore.
It's how you present them.
Yeah, you got to be able to market yourself, tell your career story in a way that grabs attention.
And you know what else I thought was super interesting? This isn't just a service for new grads or people who are unemployed.
Right.
It's something that people need throughout their entire careers.
I see what you're saying.
Whether they're looking for a promotion or making a career change or even starting their own business.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Mhm.
It speaks to the longevity of a business like this, right? You're not just helping people find a job.
You're helping them manage and grow their careers.
Exactly. You're giving
Yeah.
them the tools and the strategies to succeed in a world that's only getting more and more competitive.
And the best part, the startup costs are so low.
Yeah.
You don't need a fancy office or any expensive equipment.
Primarily expertise,
Right.
which can be developed and honed.
And you can work from anywhere.
Literally anywhere.
You could build a global business from your living room.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay, so we've got high demand, low overhead, and the flexibility to work remotely.
Sounds pretty good so far.
This is already sounding pretty good, but what about the actual services? What would someone in this business actually do?
Well, there's a surprising amount of variety.
Mm.
Obviously you've got the core services, writing resumes and cover letters, optimizing LinkedIn profiles.
Mhm.
But you can also offer things like interview prep career coaching, even helping people create portfolios of their work.
So it's not just about wordsmithing, it's about helping people present themselves in the best possible light.
Exactly, across all these different platforms.
Right?
And one thing the podcast mentioned was the potential for bundling these services.
Oh, interesting.
Instead of just offering individual services, you could create packages that are tailored to specific needs and budgets.
That makes a lot of sense because then you can offer more value and potentially charge a higher price.
Exactly.
So someone could come to you and say, hey, I need help with my resume, my LinkedIn profile, and I'm terrified of interviews.
And boom, you've got a package ready to go.
And you can specialize even further, right?
Absolutely, you can cater to specific industries.
Like you could focus on helping tech professionals.
healthcare workers.
The possibilities are kind of endless.
Endless.
So you could really niche down and become the go-to expert for a particular group of people. Okay, I'm starting to see how this could be a really smart business move. But let's say someone is listening to this and they're thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but how do I actually get started?
Great question.
What would you tell them?
Well, the podcast had some really good advice on that advice, that the first step is building expertise.
Okay.
And that could mean taking some online courses, researching best practices, maybe even getting certified in resume writing or LinkedIn optimization.
So you don't necessarily need to have years of experience in HR or recruiting to get into this.
Not at all. It's more about having a passion for helping people and a willingness to learn and stay up to date with the latest trends.
That's good to know because I think a lot of people might feel intimidated by the idea of starting a business in a field they don't have a ton of experience in.
I get that, but remember, everyone starts somewhere.
True.
And the beauty of this business is you can learn as you go, take on smaller projects.
Yeah.
At first, build your portfolio
Right.
and gradually increase your rates as you gain experience and confidence.
That feels much less intimidating for someone just starting out.
For sure.
Okay, so we've got building expertise. Check. What else? What's the next step on the path to resume and LinkedIn domination?
The podcast host really emphasized the importance of creating a portfolio of your work.
Okay.
Potential clients are going to want to see examples of what you can do. So having a collection of before and after resumes and LinkedIn profiles, that's crucial.
It's like having a visual showcase of your skills.
Exactly.
You can show people how you take a bland, generic resume and transform it into something that's both eye-catching and effective.
Absolutely. And this is where choosing a niche can come in handy too.
Yeah.
You can tailor your portfolio to specific industries or job types, which can make you stand out from the competition.
Okay, portfolio, got it. Is there anything else someone would need to get started? I imagine having a website would be pretty important.
Oh, you're absolutely right. You need a professional-looking website.
Yeah.
A place where people can learn about your services,
Yeah.
view your portfolio, get in touch with you.
Doesn't have to be super fancy, but it does need to look legit. It's your online storefront, so first impressions are everything.
Right, and once you have those foundational pieces in place, your expertise, your portfolio, your website, then you can start thinking about pricing your services.
Okay, so let's talk money,
Let's do it.
because that's ultimately what makes this a viable business, right? What kind of rates could someone realistically charge for these services?
Well, it depends on a few factors. Your experience, your target market, the complexity of the project, but the podcast I listened to gave some examples that I found pretty interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
They said you can charge anywhere from $150 for a basic resume to $500 or more for a premium package that includes a resume cover letter, LinkedIn optimization, and maybe even some interview coaching.
Wow, those are some pretty solid numbers, and I imagine as you build your reputation and get more experience, you could start charging even more.
Absolutely. The key is to research what other professionals in your area are charging and find that sweet spot that feels fair to both you and your clients.
All right, so you've got expertise, portfolio, website, and pricing all figured out.
We're on a roll.
But I think there's one big piece of the puzzle missing here.
Yeah, what's that?
How do you actually get clients?
That's where marketing comes in.
Yeah.
And the podcast I was listening to had some really smart strategies for that.
Okay, tell me more. I think this is where a lot of people get stuck.
Yeah, it's definitely key.
So let's dive into that next. Okay. Marketing. It's the make or break for any business. So what were some of those strategies that stood out to you from the podcast?
Well, one that really resonated with me was the power of LinkedIn. You know, it's the perfect platform for this kind of business.
Oh, yeah.
You can connect with professionals in your target industries, share valuable content about resumes and LinkedIn profiles,
Right.
and even showcase your expertise by participating in relevant groups.
So it's like you have a built-in audience of people who are already interested in what you have to offer.
Yeah, you're not just creating a profile and hoping people find you.
Right. You got to be more proactive.
You got to engage with people, share your insights, build relationships.
Yeah.
The more active you are, the more visibility you'll get.
Makes sense. It's all about adding value and establishing yourself as a thought leader. What about other social media platforms? Any tips there?
Yeah, the podcast host mentioned Instagram as a good option, especially for visually driven content.
Oh, okay.
You could post eye-catching resume designs,
I like that.
or share quick tips in the form of graphics,
Cool.
or even create short videos demonstrating how to optimize a LinkedIn profile.
I love that idea. It's a way to make career advice more engaging and accessible.
Right, especially for younger audiences.
Totally. And then, of course, there's Facebook, which can be a great way to connect with people through groups.
Oh yeah, tons of groups dedicated to job searching,
For sure.
specific industries, career development, and by participating in these groups, you can answer questions, offer advice,
Right.
subtly promote your services.
It's all about building that trust and becoming a go-to resource for people. And it sounds like content marketing plays a big role in that.
Absolutely. The podcast host talked about the importance of creating valuable content,
Okay.
content that addresses your target audience's pain points.
So give me some examples.
Blog posts, articles, videos, even infographics.
So you're not just selling your services, you're educating people,
Exactly.
providing them with helpful information.
It's a much more subtle and effective approach than just blasting out ads.
I agree. I'm starting to get a really clear picture of how someone could build a successful business doing this, but I'm also curious about the challenges. What are some of the hurdles someone might encounter along the way?
Well, one that came up in the podcast was managing client expectations.
Yeah.
Some people might have unrealistic expectation about what a new resume or LinkedIn profile can do for them.
I can see that happening. People get desperate.
Oh, yeah.
They see a shiny new resume as like a magic bullet that's going to solve all their career problems.
Exactly. So it's really important to be upfront with clients about the process.
Right.
You're not guaranteeing them a job.
Right. You're helping them present themselves in the best possible light.
It's a partnership. And it requires effort on both sides.
So clear communication and setting those realistic expectations from the start are crucial.
Absolutely.
What about other challenges? What else do people need to be prepared for?
Revisions can be a big one.
Oh, tell me about it.
You're going to have clients who want to tweak every single word, and that can really eat into your time and profitability.
I bet. So how do you prevent that from happening?
The podcast suggested setting clear limits on the number of revisions included in the initial price.
Okay.
So maybe 2 or 3 rounds of revisions are included, and then after that, you charge an hourly rate for any additional changes.
Makes sense. You got to protect your time and value your expertise.
You do. What about standing out in a crowded market? I imagine there's a lot of competition in this field.
Probably.
There is. But the podcast had some good tips for differentiation.
Right.
One was to specialize.
Right.
Like we talked about earlier, become the go-to expert for a particular industry or niche.
Right. So instead of being a generalist, you're the resume and LinkedIn guru for, say, software engineers.
For project managers, exactly.
Okay.
Another tip was to offer unique design elements.
Oh.
For resumes and LinkedIn profiles, people are so visually oriented these days.
Yeah.
So having a resume that stands out visually can make a big difference.
I like that it's like you're creating a brand identity for someone's career.
Right. And of course, bundling services can also help you stand out
Yeah.
by offering those comprehensive packages.
Right.
You're providing more value and making it easier for clients to get everything they need in one place.
It's all about finding ways to differentiate yourself and create that unique value proposition.
Exactly.
Makes sense. Is there anything else that came up in the podcast in terms of challenges?
The last one was staying current.
Oh, of course.
The job market is constantly evolving.
Right.
And so are the best practices for resumes. LinkedIn profiles, job searching what worked a year ago might be outdated today.
So this isn't a business where you can just learn the ropes and coast. You have to be committed to ongoing learning and development.
You need to stay on top of industry trends.
Okay.
Research new strategies, attend workshops, and constantly be refining your skills.
Wow, that's a lot to keep up with.
It is, but it makes sense. If you're going to be a trusted advisor in this space,
Right.
you need to be at the forefront of what's working.
Absolutely. Clients are relying on you to have the latest information and strategies.
Right.
So you can't afford to fall behind.
Nope.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges, but what about the keys to success? What separates the thriving resume and LinkedIn businesses from the ones that struggle?
Well, the podcast emphasized a few things. First and foremost, providing exceptional customer service.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be responsive, communicative, and go the extra mile to make sure your clients feel valued and supported.
Makes sense. Happy clients are more likely to come back for more.
Exactly.
Refer their friends.
Word-of-mouth marketing is incredibly powerful in this business.
Yeah.
So building those strong relationships with your clients is essential.
It's not just a transaction, it's a relationship.
Right. What else? Attention to detail is another big one.
Okay.
You need to be meticulous about proofreading formatting, making sure everything is consistent and error-free.
Right. A typo on a resume or a poorly formatted LinkedIn profile could really damage someone's chances.
Exactly. It makes you look unprofessional,
Yeah.
undermines your credibility.
Okay. Customer service and attention to detail. Check anything else.
The last thing the podcast emphasized was effective marketing.
Right.
It doesn't matter how great your services are if no one knows about them.
You got to get the word out. Reach your target audience.
Exactly. And that means utilizing all those marketing strategies we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Social media, content marketing, networking.
Right.
You have to be consistent and strategic in your efforts.
So it's not just about doing a little bit of everything. It's about having a plan and executing it effectively.
Exactly. And remember, it's a marathon,
Mm.
not a sprint. You might not see results overnight,
Right.
but if you're consistent and you keep providing value, you'll eventually build a loyal client base and a thriving business.
That's really encouraging. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the services, the challenges, the keys to success,
Yeah.
and even some specific strategies for marketing and attracting clients.
We have, and we've touched on the earning potential too.
Right.
The podcast offered some compelling examples of how much someone could realistically earn doing this.
That's actually something I wanted to dig into a bit more. Let's talk about the financial side of things,
Okay.
because ultimately that's what makes this a viable business opportunity, right?
Right. So let's break down those numbers and see what the earning potential really looks like for someone starting out in this field.
Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. We've talked about the demand for these services. The relatively low startup costs the flexibility of running this kind of business. But what does the financial picture actually look like? What kind of income can someone realistically generate?
Well, the podcast I was listening to actually laid out a pretty compelling scenario.
Okay.
Let's say you're offering 3 main service packages.
Okay.
A basic resume revamp for $150, a LinkedIn profile makeover for $200, and a premium package that combines both of those, plus a cover letter for $500.
Okay, so you've got a good range of options to cater to different needs and budgets.
I like that. What kind of client volume are we talking about here?
Let's imagine you're just starting out building your client base.
Okay.
The podcast suggested that in a given month, you could potentially land 10 clients for the basic resume package, 5 for the LinkedIn optimization, and another 5 for that premium bundle.
Okay, let me do the math here. 10 basic resumes at $150 each would bring in $1,500. 5 LinkedIn makeovers at $200 a pop would be another $1,000. And 5 premium bundles at $500 each. That's $2,500. So we're looking at a potential monthly income of $5,000.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive, especially considering the low overhead of this business.
Exactly. And remember, that's a conservative estimate for someone who's just starting out.
As you build your reputation, gain experience, refine your marketing strategies, you can scale your business and increase your earning potential significantly.
Right. You could raise your prices gradually as you gain more expertise, take on more clients, or even bring on some help to handle the workload. There's a lot of room for growth.
There is. And don't forget about the potential to expand your offerings.
Oh, yeah.
You could add new services like interview coaching or career strategy sessions,
Right.
or even create online courses and workshops to reach a wider audience.
So this isn't just a side hustle or a way to make some extra cash. This could be a legitimate, full-fledged business with serious income potential. I'm starting to understand why you were so excited about this idea.
It's not just about the money, though.
Right.
The podcast host made a point that really resonated with me.
Okay.
They said that by starting this kind of business, you're essentially positioning yourself as a guide in this new world of work.
I love that.
Yeah, it's not just about creating documents. It's about empowering people to navigate their careers in a way that's strategic and fulfilling.
It's about helping people tell their stories, showcase their skills, connect with opportunities that align with their goals. It's about making a real difference in people's lives.
And in a world that's becoming increasingly digital and competitive, those skills are more valuable than ever.
I agree.
People need help standing out, crafting compelling narratives, building a strong online presence.
Absolutely. And as more and more people recognize the importance of personal branding and digital networking, the demand for these kinds of services is only going to grow.
It's only going to grow.
So it's not just a business opportunity, it's tapping into a long-term trend that's here to stay.
Exactly.
I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed by all of this.
As am I, and what I find most compelling is that it's a business that combines financial potential with a genuine opportunity to help people achieve their goals.
It's not often that you find a business idea that's both profitable and purpose-driven if you're listening to this, and the idea of empowering people through their careers resonates with you. I highly encourage you to explore this further.
I agree. The podcast we listened to provided a wealth of information and inspiration.
For sure.
And remember, you don't need to be a seasoned HR professional or a marketing guru to do this. It's about having a passion for helping people, a willingness to learn, and the drive to build something meaningful.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So there you have it. We've taken a deep dive into the world of resume and LinkedIn optimization services, exploring everything from the initial setup to the long-term growth potential.
Hopefully this deep dive has sparked some ideas and given you a clearer understanding of what it takes to launch and succeed in this exciting and rewarding field.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next deep dive.